Okay, looks like we're live. So let me go ahead and we'll just wait for some people to join on and see if we get anybody that wants to talk about the Immortals After Dark. So a big thank you to Helen from What Helen Reads for joining me today for this live show, where we're just going to be discussing the last two books that we read in the Immortals After Dark series. So while we're waiting for people to get on, why don't you just kind of talk about what you're reading right now?
Oh, what I'm reading right now. I've just started Born for Lace today because I got the
Oh
art.
yeah, I just started that too.
Yeah, so I'm about 23% in, so I'm really finding it interesting so far. I really like book one, so I was really excited for this book. So yeah, so getting on with it quite well so far.
How far did you say you were? Like 20%?
Yeah, about 23%. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was like having a hard time sticking with it. I think it's because so much going on where I was like kind of getting more distracted. So I think I'm finally at like the 45% mark. But it definitely feels a lot different than the first one. I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if I'm like as like obsessed as I was with the first one so far. I don't know. Have you read? Yeah, you did read, of course, because I got you read Cosa Nostra with her dedication at the beginning. I was so excited because I was like, yes, Max Butcher. That's my
I was thinking,
man.
when I saw it, I was like, oh, this potentially is going to be good, right?
Yeah.
We've not seen much of him so far though. We're 23% in, and I feel like he's sort of
Yeah.
been in the background, but it's mostly been about her and the baby, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
kind of what was like kind of slow going, I think, in the beginning for me because we weren't really having much interaction between those two. So I was kind of going, in and out of that a little bit. Hold on, let me do this. But anyways, so that's kind of what I'm reading right now. And then I am listening to finally a historical romance for that Ever Afterthon that I'm a part of. I'm just now getting to historical romance. I felt really bad because everybody in that chat, like they're in Discord and everything, is like there you get extra points for reading historical and all this stuff. And I haven't even gotten to one. Like I think I read one, but it was because I had an arc. So now I'm finally getting to some historical romance for that. But yeah. So but before we get like diving deep into the books, I kind of just wanted an idea of how you felt about Immortals After Dark so far. Like, how are you enjoying the series? How's it going for you?
um, I've been enjoying it. So none of the books I've read so far have really blown me away. Um, but what I really like about it is I just really like the world building that Kirsty Cole has done. I really like all of the kind of the characters, and I feel like definitely in the books that we've read so far, we've got a really good sense of all the characters, right? Particularly the vampire
Yeah.
brothers, and so you're kind of really anticipating their books, and I feel like all the story is really building on top of itself. So we're getting this really world, right, and all these characters, and every time like Nyx comes into it, I think she's so funny, and
Yeah.
of her, and so yeah. So although none of the individual books themselves have blown me away, I've kind of rated most of them 4 stars, but they've all
Yeah.
been really solid reads, and like I said, I'm just loving the characters. I just love all the
Yeah, that's
characters.
what I think she does well is build the world building keeps getting more and more each book. And then like the amount of characters is growing. The kind of I think somebody said it's kind of like these phases or something, like kind of are getting close to the end of this one to go to the next one. And I think that she does a really good job, like kind of having this plot line that's going through all of the books so that you kind of should read them in order and not just jump in. But I think if you did jump in, it wouldn't really be that bad, but knowing the characters, seeing them spread out throughout, like slowly throughout the series is really nice. So I've enjoyed it. None of them like have blown me away, but I have had some 5 stars or I think I had a couple of 4.5. I did give, which I guess I'll get into this is like, what did you rate Kiss of a Demon King? So that's the first book we're going to talk about is Kiss of a Demon King. And what did you end up rating this one?
I rated this one 4 stars.
I rated it 5 stars. I really loved it. And being one of my favorites from the month. It was in my my monthly wrap up too. I think what made me love this one so much was the heroine. So like that's why like I really, really enjoyed this one. I think it was one of my favorites in the series because it felt a little different than the other ones. But you know, I really enjoyed this one. Oh, this stupid thing. Sorry, on my phone, it's annoying me. Okay. So as you guys are watching, if you guys have read it, if you want to put in your rating, whatever, any questions or thoughts you have on the book, go ahead and put those in the comments. Still some people kind of coming on here. I know it's kind of been a big commitment to get people to stick with the Immortals After Dark. So even if you couldn't watch this live, you know, watch it back later, you can kind of see us talk about this because I will be getting into like spoilery things on here, obviously. So you know, just be aware I'll bring up those kinds of things. So I ended up giving it 5 stars. I really liked it. I thought it was unique. I honestly went to the audiobooks a couple books ago. And then now I don't want to go back from the audiobooks because I really think they're well done. And it makes it more fast paced to me than when I was physically reading it. I think it's a lot quicker when I'm listening to it like on audiobook.
Yeah. And interestingly, I've been listening to these on audiobook as well for the ones that I've been able. I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks just because of the way I read, and I only listen to audiobooks if I'm traveling or in the car or something. I don't, if I'm physically in my house, I prefer to read on my Kindle. But all of these I've listened to as audiobooks because I think Robert Petkoff does a really good job, right? And you kind of, once you've got into, I found him quite difficult to listen to in the first couple of books, but when you get into his style and his voice, then I think he does a really good job. So
okay, we got also think 5 stars of being so funny in that book. Yeah, she was just such a unique heroine that I really liked her. And I've mentioned I was bored of the Valkyries. Like I'm kind of over the Valkyrie, badass Valkyrie, you know, whatever. Like it was kind of getting boring for me. So that's why I liked it when we went to the witches. And then now when we went to like a sorceress, like I thought that was really cool. And I always love like, you know, like a villainous type of thing. And so that's how I really loved her. Okay, so let me go to so we already had this, but just in case other people are jumping on, let us know what you thought, your rating for Kiss of a Demon King. The other question that I have is, how did you feel about the world building in this one?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed the world building. That's one of the things I most liked about it. And obviously, we've been building up because we obviously had Cadian's book already, and we've been building up to get Rydstrom's book, right? Because we really want to get his kingdom back. So I think that's really good. I think obviously they live in an interesting realm, right? Because they're rage demons and they live in this interesting realm. And with the around the well and everything, we don't know what's going on with the well or what it really does.
Yeah.
And so I thought that once we were transported to that realm away from like New Orleans, I thought that got really interesting. So I did really like that. That's quite intriguing.
Yeah, I think it was cool to get introduced to more of the demons. The previous one, you did get introduced to them, but this one built on it. I think I liked this one a lot more than the previous one. I got kind of bored of like the road trip, you know, like other stuff going on. Like, it just didn't hook me as much. I think I gave that one like a 4 star. But I really liked this one. And I think it was because of this kind of crazy dynamic between them. And it felt very like DubCon, you know, kind of thing that I love in, you know, my dark romance type of stuff. So I know like some of this, when you read like comments about it online, they were like not loving that kind of vibe, but I actually really liked it. I liked Sabine. I liked how she really had him under her control, but then like he turns the tables on her and how that ends up going. So I just really liked her sister. I loved all these different characters that were brought up. I don't know why my phone is doing weird stuff because I'm doing it from my phone today instead of my thing, and it's Also, the hero and heroine are such opposites. It works really well. Yeah, they really played off each other really well in their every scene. That will bring me to this. Your thoughts on the hero, which is Rydstrom Wade. What did you think of his character?
I really like him. I mean, like I say, because we've seen him in the other books, right? We know he's this, and also he's portrayed very much as this guy who it doesn't lie, right? So he's very straight. What you get from him, he's the truth. He's like not morally grey at all, right? He's kind of like very kind of like moral and upstanding, and but equally his total focus is on getting his kingdom back. So I feel that was an interesting shift between, like, he's really kind of like, I just want my kingdom back, that's what I want, even at the sacrifice, as even if it means, before he met Sabine, right, he was willing to sacrifice his fated mate almost, to get his kingdom back, and to see that shift in him was really interesting. But yeah, no, I really like him. I thought he was nice.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my thing because this is like driving me nuts. Okay, so I really liked the hero. I thought, first in the previous one, I was like, why is he so tough on Cadian? Like, chill out. Blames him for everything when Cadian like lost his like family too, but you could understand being in his head more, like he really puts his kingdom above anything else and his duty, and he's got really a strong ethic about that, where like it also kind of impresses Sabine in this, because she figured once she captured him and tricked him type of thing, he would be an easy prey to her, and he really fights her even knowing she's like his fated mate, or at least he assumes that she is. I think that was really intriguing, and kind of she was like, oh, who's this? Because he's not falling for her BS, and he was really tough and strong. So I really did like that about him. And then we have your thoughts on the heroine, Sabine. I love her.
I know you like her. No, I again, she was a very interesting character, right? Because she's been through a lot. I mean, she's had to put up with Omar for many years, so that's can't have been pleasant. And I just thought she was like a very kind of like strong heroine, also very determined, right? She's been through a lot, but she's prepared to do a lot in order to get kind of what she wants. But I really liked it when he turned the tables on her, because I did think she was a bit mean to him, and I was glad when he was able to get his revenge almost.
Yeah, he got some revenge on her and put her in her place a little bit. Yeah, I love Sabine. I thought she was just really refreshing. I thought, I know some people might not like her because of how harsh she was and what she was doing, and she may come off maybe selfish or whatever, but I thought the prologue did a really good job of showing you why she is the way she is, because I feel like she's got this very tough, like, hard exterior, and she does that to protect herself because she's like been killed so many times. And her sister, I'm trying to remember, is it Melanthe or I can't remember her name. She was like able to bring her back with her powers of persuasion. And so like to think about how many times she'd been killed, and then they were hunted down by like those creatures. So, and then she had to and then when you find out further in the book about how she has been given, her and her sister had that poison from Omar. So like they were kind of forced to be there and to do those things. So I thought it was interesting. I thought Kresley Cole did a really good job of kind of like making you guess her motivations. Like, what is her motivations? What does she truly want? Because you can tell she hates Omar. She's disgusted by him. But like, what does she really want? So I thought that she was just such a fascinating heroine. I think that's kind of what made this book for me, honestly, was my love for Sabine. And she was so funny. Like, I loved all her conversations with her sister. And I really liked how her sister was like the bubbly, happy, whatever, like positive one, and she was actually promiscuous. And then she was like the jaded, bitter one. And she had basically been a virgin, which, okay, we'll go into some of the spoiler things since we've talked about the heroine and whatever, but like we won't go through play by play of like the whole book, but kind of what I want to bring up is the main stuff that kind of happened. So like when We have Rydstrom, and he is on his way. You found out in the previous book, some people might not have read that one. So but his brother was about to get this sword that is supposed to be able to kill Omar, who took their kingdom away from them. And Omar is like Omar the Deathless. I think that's what it was, because he can't be killed. And so he's on this mission. He expects his brother to give up his mate for the mission. And so that's kind of his mindset. And then she captures him, like gets him in a wreck. And then she thinks she's going to just kind of woo him. And he's not really going for it. So then I love how her sister had to like open up a portal. And then he ends up kind of in her dungeon type of situation. And she ends up holding him and wanting him because there is the prophecy to basically she is fated mates with him and would have his heir. And then his heir is supposed to be important to opening up the well. What does the well do? Like, we don't know. Like, I think more of that will come to play later.
But that's crazy, right? Because they're so desperate to like activate this well, but they don't know what it does. It could destroy the world, you know.
They have no idea, but like, so that's kind of like how the setup is. And of course she is trying to make him, because she wants him to do the vow, because if he does this vow, then they're married, and then she can make, and then basically she's doing like breeding. It's like kind of some breeding kink in here. And she wants, but he fights it tooth and nail. So she like edges him for like days and tortures him and all this stuff. And I just thought it was so crazy. I thought it was funny too, because like her sister's like, you still haven't like gotten that done yet. Oh, and then another thing that was weird was those covenants. So like there was the covenant.
That was weird, because everyone kept looking at the thing on the wall to go, have you done it yet? They know when she's actually done the deed, because it's going to like break and fall.
I know.
And
then Omar, who's in love with her because he's her half brother, but he's sleeping with one of his other half sisters, and then he's in love with her, and he's like obsessing over her, like losing her virginity, and when's she gonna get this done? Because then she could be his. So he's just creepy. His kingdom is like, the way he had that was just like disgusting and a mess and all of that. So that's like already hard for Rydstrom when he like sees how his kingdom is being ran too. It's like he's just disgusted. And she actually gets kind of embarrassed, like when he sees it, you know, later. She's like, oh yeah, she's just embarrassed about how it actually. Oh, here we go. Hey Becky. Thanks for joining. I don't know what is going on because I keep clicking. Let me do this, because it's never done this when I've done it on my phone before, but for some reason I am having some issues. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, technical issues for me. Okay, so anyways, so that whole like sequence of him kind of torturing her and all that kind of stuff was great. But what I thought was really different was the loss of the virginity and how that went out, where like, you know, he kind of warned her, you know, don't keep riling me up, because when he goes demon form, like it'll get like rage demon and kind of get violent. And so like when they first have sex, like she's a virgin. She didn't tell him she was a virgin. And then it was pretty, it wasn't a good time for her. And I just thought that was unique, because we always have, it's not always going to be a great time in these romances where they do a little, you know, foreplay or fooling around, and the girl always gets off losing her virginity. So I actually really like that, because I get really sick of that in romances. Yeah, but I thought like, oh God, what she just had. Not a great experience for her first time.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was funny as well, and like you say, very refreshing. But then it's almost like it puts her off, right? So she's like, "Oh, I don't want to do that again."
Yeah. Well, and then she does that horrible thing where she like punishes him with those guys that are gonna like bathe him and stuff, and he's just like, at that point, he's done. Like, I am gonna kill her. Like, this is over. And so I don't know. I just thought that was so funny. Let's see here.
So just looping back to the whole vow part as well, because obviously, like you said, it all hinged on she was trying to force him to make the vow, right? And
Yeah.
then he does make a vow in Demon. She doesn't understand what he says.
Yeah.
And so this is a really good thing, because obviously he's like this guy who always tells the truth. He's not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
He then almost like, at first she doesn't trust him, but then she thinks, oh, actually he's quite a stand-up guy, so now I'm going to believe that he has actually said the vow.
Yeah.
And actually he's kind of tricks her, but still not lied, right?
Yeah, that I really like that twist too, because then it ends up being part of the conflict too, of like him being like, "Oop, I lied to her," like as their relationship is evolving later on in the book, because it's like he basically just vows revenge, not that they're like husband and wife. And so when the thing that took the turn for me is one of my favorite side characters, and I'm so excited for his book, and that is Lothair. So Lothair, we're here to talk about it. I've been interested in him from like the first, like even the novella, like those other ones, he was just like kind of in, you could just tell there was something about him, let alone I've heard about Lothair and the love of Lothair from the community. So you're just kind of like expecting a lot, but like I felt like we got so much more of him in this book. And what did you think of Lothair?
Well, like you, I've been obviously tracking him because obviously Jen loves Lothair, right?
Yeah.
That's her favourite book. And so I knew that he was going to be in it. And because all the characters do play parts, I've specifically been tracking him in the book to see where does he show up. So when he shows up this time and plays quite a pivotal role, really, right? But then we don't know where he's gone, and we don't know what favour he's going to ask for in the future.
Yeah.
So Whitestorm's owes him one right now. So what favour is he going to actually ask Whitestorm for in the future? I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I do think like it's very interesting. You can see he's a villain, but he's like one of those very manipulative but smart villains. I think he could tell, hey, maybe I'm not on the winning side here with this Omart guy. They're getting a sword. Like things could turn here now that he's like mates with Sabine too. Like, and I think he just saw that it wasn't that he should get on the better side, and then at the same time he could basically demand a favor from a Wrightstrom, which was, and I just love that where he's like, "Oh, you'll know. Like, I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you now. It'll come later." And I just loved that. So I thought that was really cool. With Lothair's part was just one of my favorite parts in the book. Probably was Lothair. Lothair's book is one of her best. I read that a few years ago. It's a really funny book too. Yeah, I can't wait. I think Jen for sure said she would join us for the Lothair one. So I'm really excited because of course she's read this series a few times, so but Lothair is a special one, I think, for her. So I'm hoping that she really joins us because it's going to be, I can't wait to get to that book, but we're not there yet. Like we still have a few, I think, to go till we get it.
August before we get there?
I don't know. Let me double check because I actually have it up. Let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 books. So because next month we have the other 2, I think it might be. So I think that might be our book. I can't remember because I might have only done 1 book for July because I was splitting it up a certain way. So it might be July or it might be August that we end up doing Lothair, but I'm not positive. Actually, I could probably pull it up. But anyways, I loved Lothair. I love that he did this. I thought he was really funny and smart. And so that's what I also like about this series is it's like little characters are spread throughout that are important and you're kind of keeping your eye on them. And it's just a good time. So let me see here. Okay, so I do have a couple notes. Let me just go back to them real quick, just so I don't forget anything. Oh yeah, one of the things that was kind of crazy, which was horrible, was, and we can talk about it with this, I have thoughts on Omart the Deathless, and was when he also revealed to her, like, well, no, we got to kill the baby to open up the well. And she was just like, you ain't killing my baby. So that made me like Sabine a little bit more, that she wasn't just willing to do anything. I mean, she does have villainous self-interest type of behaviors, but she wasn't willing to go to that length. And I just thought this guy was a creep. And, but he was so powerful too, because when you saw that, when her and her sister had to go battle out against, I think I think there was like another group of vampires or demons. I can't remember, but they could like be hidden and fight everybody. But then that like went away. And then he like, cause they were asking him help, but he's deteriorating, kind of losing his mind over the sword. And then he literally goes out there and just does it in like 1 second and they all like die. You're just like, oh, okay. I think that was cool. She showed that because it showed how powerful he was to know that he could take the kingdom.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? It's really interesting because we've heard about him for a while. He's obviously had the kingdom for 500 years, right? No one can get near him. No one can kill him. They've tried to, but they can't. But then almost it was like it felt almost too easy at the end to kill him, right?
Yeah.
He could snap his fingers and kill everyone, but then I don't know.
Well,
and
yeah, because I think that had to do too with her sister's powers and what she could do. Because I think if all of them didn't come together in that final thing, they wouldn't have been able to defeat him. I did think it was kind of weird because I was expecting like this big badass, but he kind of came off as like a creepy perv, like kind of just in his castle, not being a real leader, not doing anything. So I was like, oh, I kind of expected more from him than what he was. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree because I just feel like you've got all that power, and like I say, you've held that power for such a long time. Everyone's afraid of you, but then, like you say, he was really creepy. He wasn't. He was just horrible. He just made my skin crawl. But then he didn't even look after the kingdom. He hadn't maintained the castle. He hadn't really looked after it. All those revenants and everything. Just like, what is going on?
Okay, so then I want to get to the main shift here, which is when Lothair does get him out. Brightstorm is like, I'm not leaving Sabine, which I loved. And he didn't want to leave her there, but he also, he needed to get his revenge too. And so now they go off and they're kind of going through this kind of wasteland type of thing, traveling, and then they're going to get to his kind of people and then try to get to a portal. So I really think that this book did a good job of like not being too boring, stuck in one place, because if they were just in that, the castle or whatever, that would again kind of old. And so now when they're on this kind of trip and this storyline, you can kind of see them communicate better, figure things out. Oh, side note, sorry. Lothair, when he actually tells him how he can stop her powers by like binding her wrists behind her back. And so then she wouldn't be able to do any of her illusions because, that's her. I love her power. I thought that was really cool, like all her power that she has. But so she wasn't able to do anything and she's just stuck on this trip with him. And I just thought this was a really interesting kind of part of the story, especially when like he teaches her to swim and there's some more like intimate moments between them. So I really liked that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that as well. Yeah. And then if I'm remembering correctly, right, then she gets attacked, right? And dragged into that cave.
Yeah. So like she gets attacked by those, I don't know if they're like, I don't remember what they were, but like some type of troll looking whatever guys. He gets like thrown off like the cliff or something. And then she is taken with them, but she can't do anything because she's got her hands bound. And so like she's about to get raped by them and he shows up and the like rages and like kills all of them, which totally turns her on even more. She's like totally into his power or whatever. And then they end up going with with those other, demons or whatever. And what I liked about this was that character Puck, which was like this little kind of kid that she doesn't really have a lot of maternal instincts. She's not really the friendliest of people, but like this kid kind of wormed his way into her heart where she was like, oh, whoops, sorry. I forgot to put a comment on here. Sorry, guys. Lothair's book is one of her best. Oh, I think I already did that one. Sorry. I'm having issues. Anyways, so, and then the dragon comes and it's like attacking everybody and she was just going to like, whatever, I don't care. But then she sees like Puck in it. And so she goes and like saves everybody. And so I really loved that. Like, I thought it was so funny. And then what I loved is how they went to New Orleans. So it's like, we have multiple like locations going on in this, which I thought was good. I know when you read the one that was like the ghost, and I thought, I think it was you, or was it Kim? Somebody said it was kind of getting boring, a little slow, like because they're stuck in the mansion. I actually liked that one.
I like that one. I did like that one.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah, because I didn't mind it because I thought like it worked for the story. So I thought this one just had a lot going on in it. So it kind of made it really fast paced. But I loved of course, the funniest. Okay, my favorite thing is Nyx. Okay, like Nyx in these. So this will bring up this is like, what is your favorite side character? Obviously Lothair, and then I would say Nyx. Nyx throughout this whole series has like stolen the show to me. So when he shows up back at his home and it's like trashed, and Nyx is partying there, and she's got like witches, and Nyx is just hilarious. I love her.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. She's my favorite. I love it when she turns up because she always comes across as, like, everyone says she's crazy, right? Like, she comes across as crazy. She never knows whether she's in the future or the past, or if it's a vision or not. You kind of like, it seems like she's a bit ditzy, right? Because she's jumping from one idea to the next. But clearly, she's very, very clever. And I really like, because she's a little bit manipulative, isn't she? 'Cause she's like so and she doesn't quite tell people exactly what's going on. So it's quite cryptic. It's kind of like, I'm reading between the lines here, but you know that like it's all going to work out. But she's crazy, and I just love her personality. When she pops up, it's always so much fun, I think.
Yeah, because she's like got the power of foresight, so she knows what's going to come, but she messes with people and only tells them what they really know because she needs things to work out a specific way. But she knows, and she's kind of the one gathering people for this, type of war thing that is happening. Was it called the Ascension or something? I can't remember what it was called. I might be mixing that up with a different book. But like, she's kind of gathering everybody and kind of gathering her forces for this type of thing. So it's like, you kind of see, she knows where things are going to go. And so she's doing what she needs to with each of these groups to kind of bring them together when they normally would never deal with each other. Like the vampires, the Lycan, they wouldn't tolerate each other. So I just love her. I put this on here, was about how when Sabine tried to kind of go into her mind, to probe her mind, and she was like, okay, never mind, like I can't, like this is too chaotic. And like Nyx is like, welcome to my world. So funny. So I love Nyx. I love her. And then you have like the whole conflict at the end where, she has that poison situation where she thinks she has a certain amount of time, but really it's not that amount of time, that he had like lied to them. And she needs to get back where they're actually kind of coming together and communicating. And she doesn't want to like lie to him, but then her sister is like in danger. And so, she's being chased by those creatures. I can't remember what they were called. I think it was like Reckoners.
The Revenants, I think. Are they them, not the Revenants?
Yeah, and they weren't the Revenant. They were like something else, like Reckoners, and they had like wings. And I don't know. But anyways, so she has to get back. And then he finds out, finds her and feels like betrayed and like basically kicks her out. And that like, but then I like that he quickly realizes he messed up, and he needs to go get her. But she's dying, and she basically dies. And like so he's willing, and this is where I think the big churn happens, where I loved Rydstrom even more, was that it was always about his kingdom, his duty, and he was going to risk that to take her back to save her. And so I really loved that. And so they're going to go back and fight the big bad. And she happens to have that sword. So then the whole final conflict happens, which I thought the battle scene and the stuff between them was really cool. Like it just was very fast paced. It felt very cinematic, everything that was like happening.
Yeah. No, I agree. Really liked it. I think one thing though, with all of well, not all of them, but quite a few of the men so far, they've had this thing where they kind of like, they force their women to be with them, right? And they're fated mates, they've got to be here. And there's this trust issue where they think the women are going to leave them. So then they kind of like, oh no, like if you're leaving, it's because you obviously don't want to be with me, rather than like, no, I've got my own stuff going on. I need to go off and save my sister. I'm not like
Yeah.
leaving you exactly, but I need to get out of here. And so, yeah, I think there's a bit of a pattern there with Presley Cole's men.
Yeah, definitely. It's either they're like fighting the mating bond or this or that, like, which that's like kind of in the next one, which I don't have a ton to say about Untouchable or Kiss. Is it Kiss of whatever?
Well,
I read the Untouchable one, but
yeah.
But so like this ending I thought was really cool. I liked the ending. I liked how her sister, like, because she wasn't able to use her power of persuasion, I don't think, for like a really long time. It had been like kind of used up. And so then it actually was working and she was able to stop it so that Omar couldn't use any power. So then it was just hand-to-hand combat. And so that's, of course, when he gets beheaded. And then what I loved is when he gets beheaded, all those covenant things basically end. So now, like, Cadian could trace or whatever. I don't know if they call it trace for the demons, but he could, get through. And so everybody, then they all show up, and it was just like this whole crazy thing. And then like how the hag was able to give, now she was finally able to give them the cure or whatever, because she couldn't, because she had the covenant with him where she couldn't do that. So I mean, it was good. I thought it was really exciting, a good conclusion to like the, I think that's kind of, she does always have that action packed kind of ending, going on in these books.
Definitely. And do you think, because the hag turns in, sort of transforms back into her, less hag self, shall we say?
Yeah.
A beautiful, was she an elf? I feel like she was an elf.
I don't know, because I know she was this gorgeous, like, which I think Rydstrom kind of saw it a little bit at one point, but it's like she wasn't really a hag, she was gorgeous. And so
I do wonder if she's going to come back, like she's going to make an appearance later on.
That would be interesting if she showed up again, it would be kind of cool. So that was kind of the end of that one. And then they're actually just together building their kingdom. And then, they're holding off on the kids. We still have this well situation, so we don't know what is this well going to do. I wonder if we'll ever know. I don't know. But so I really loved this. I think I just really loved Sabine. And like, I love like a prickly heroine done like right. And I think she was funny. She was spunky. She was like, and I love too, because when she would take his like fantasies out of his head and put them up, and she saw that his like fantasy was like go down on her and give her pleasure, she was like, what? And I loved how she was able, like, because he always thought he needed these demure type of women, but what really got him excited was a person like Sabine and her power and making her kind of bend to his will. So I loved that whole dynamic of theirs. Yeah,
no, I agree. That's good.
Okay, any final thoughts on this book? And then we'll jump to the next one, because I know it's late where you're at. So
yeah, we're good. You carry on.
Okay, so we have the next one, which was listened to Untouchable, which was like the audiobook version. And then there's the Deep Kiss of Winter. It's basically the same book. But what did you end up rating that?
4 stars again.
She's a solid 4-star.
It's a solid 4 stars. Yeah, all the way. They've all been 4 stars apart from the first one.
What did you end up giving the first one?
3.5 stars.
That was the novella one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I gave it too. I was kind of like, eh. I think it's like that came later where she added that. So it's like when they read it on like the Fated Mates podcast, I think like they read these two together like late, like now, after, like they read those two after they read all those books. So I think that's kind of a better way to do it. But I do think it was interesting because we did get like the whole mist, that whole their kind of storyline. But so this one I rated 4 stars too. I thought it was really decent for a shorter one. I don't know how many pages it was because I listened to the audiobook,
I will tell
But it
you.
was super quick. Because isn't that ebook combined with like another story or something?
Yeah, it was 257 pages. I've got it recorded as. So it
Okay.
was not.
It wasn't
It was
too, it
too
was a
short.
super novella, but it was,
Yeah,
shorter than her usual.
yeah.
Yeah, because I liked it. I thought it was good for a shorter story because it told a lot in that story, and I thought the characters were interesting. What did you think about the hero? So we have Murdoch Roth. We're finally getting the last Roth brother. What did you think of him?
So I really liked all of the Roth brothers. So even though I didn't rate Nikolai's book as high, I really
Mm-hmm.
liked all the brothers. And what I found interesting in this one, you're right, it was kind of like, because I feel like this was part of a collection that she did with the other author, right? So Deep Kiss of Winter is like two,
Yeah.
one by a different author. And then the first book was really 0.5, I guess, but they renumbered it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did find interesting was clearly Kirsty Cole had written these out of order. It felt to me like she'd written them out of order, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
she wrote them afterwards and slotted them in. That's kind of the vibe that I got.
Yeah.
It was interesting because this one definitely overlapped from a storyline perspective to
Yeah.
that first book. So obviously this one starts really where the same timeline as the first book starts, because they're in New Orleans. Nikolai's tracking,
Mm-hmm.
when he's tracking Mist, that Murdoch then sends Daniela, and he goes off to Daniela, right?
Yeah.
And go through the city. But I really liked Murdoch, and what was interesting about him compared to his brothers is he was the sort of hero that's like, he was fighting the fact that she was his fated mate, right? So
Mm-hmm.
his fated mate, and all the other vampires have been feral for their women at that point. They're like,
Yeah.
no, you're my bride, you're going to be with me. But he's like, oh, this is a bit inconvenient. I don't really think I want a bride.
Yeah.
And it was
Especially
her,
one I
I
can't
was
touch.
that was like, but no, I want you to want me.
Yeah.
What's going on? And she was really open to this relationship, and he was like, no.
Yeah, she went completely opposite of like the other ones, because I was getting sick of the Valkyries because they're always like, I don't want to mate, and we don't have mates, and they fought it like tooth and nail the whole time, and I was like, come on, stop it. And in this one, she's like, I just want to have somebody I love. Like, you could just imagine, since she had spent forever like not being able to be touched by anybody but like her own kind, that would be you'd be pretty lonely as like, just alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I liked him. I thought it was funny too that he was kind of like the manho one, where he had like a definite reputation of being a player, but that made things like difficult for them because, because he meets her. I'm not going into the whole plot of this one. He meets her and like then he gets blooded and they're instantly attracted to each other, but then he can't touch her. And so that's, complicates things. And especially since they try to come up with creative ways around it. I thought that was interesting. This one spanned quite a lot of time too, because again, it was starting at the beginning of like, the first one, and then goes through all the books basically we read. So it felt like it was almost felt like it was tying up a whole story, the first part of the story. But I think the other two books that we're reading after this is still part of this first phase type of thing. But I'm probably saying phases because of Marvel. Sorry.
That's all right.
Phase 1, phase 2.
Because as well, in the book was it with Sebastian, or was it with Conrad? It was when they were with Conrad, right? With the ghost in the house. Murdoch keeps disappearing, doesn't
Yeah.
he? He keeps going, oh, I'll leave you to that, and I'm just going to go off somewhere, and you don't really know where he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But he's obviously going to see her, and now we kind of discover where he's been this whole time. But the thing that I thought was weird about that, if vampires can trace and they can get there instantly, I didn't see why he couldn't just go back every night. Like, because he leaves there for weeks at a time, right? And he's like, oh, I'm busy,
Yeah.
I'm out hunting, I'm looking for my brother, and now I'm helping my brother. It's like, but if you're a vampire, you can trace instantly. So you can go back
Yeah,
anytime.
I think she got moody about that too, because he would leave for long periods of time and then she's just there waiting, and she's like not knowing what he's up to. And then she had a lot of insecurity about like, you know, him being this player and he couldn't touch her. So is he going to go off and be with, I mean, at one point he literally tried to go hook up with another chick, which I was like, no, don't do it. Oh my God. I'm having so many issues on my phone. Sorry, guys. It's like not letting me scroll through the comments correctly.
Oh.
Anyways, hi Jen. thanks for dropping in. We were talking about Lothair earlier and how much we loved him in Kiss of a Demon King. So we're excited to get to his story. Oh, okay. Hold on. This is the other one that I skipped. Sorry about that. I've always wanted Nyx to have her own love story. Yeah, I remember. I think I even asked Jen because I was like, does Nyx have a book? Because Nyx is like my favorite and I'm just constantly waiting for her book to show up. So I guess not yet. Hopefully soon. Hopefully she will one day because I love Nyx.
I think that would be difficult for her to have a relationship.
Yeah, I think she's the master. Seems like a mastermind or knows what's going on in every situation. So you probably have to wait till the end to get to Nyx. But the heroine in this was Daniela the Ice Maiden. So what were your thoughts on her?
Well, again, I really liked her because, like I say, she's the opposite of the other heroines, right? She is like this character who, by birthright, she should be next in line to the throne for her kingdom, but she's kind of like, you know, not going back. She doesn't want that. She just wants to live a normal life, right? And now she's trapped in this horrible place where people are like constantly chasing her, but she can't ever have any intimacy. She can't be with people, and so she's like very solitary, very lonely, and she just wants to be loved, right? So this is the I really liked that, and I was like really rooting for her, and I wanted her to get with Murdoch. It's like I knew we were going to figure it out. I knew they could be together. But yeah, that's why I thought it was funny, just because of that twist of she was like almost like desperate to be, and then really sad.
She wanted it from the get-go. She was all on board. And she didn't care like the other Valkyries were like, oh, he's a vampire. I can't be a vampire. She didn't care. She's like, I don't care. I did think it was like kind of obvious that like if he just drank her blood, like they could have been able to touch and stuff. So I was like, can we figure that out a little bit earlier? Come on, you guys. Like, but I get it. I get it for the storytelling aspect. But I really liked her character. I liked the refreshing aspect of her actually like wanting to be with him instantly. She did have a lot of insecurities, but they were understandable with what a player he was. And then I liked how like, you know, he had his own insecurities too, where his brothers are known for being this amazing in battle and this and that. And then he was known for being like a man. So I thought that was really funny. But like, I thought this was really good for like a shorter story. I didn't mind that it was kind of re-going through some of the stuff in the other books because it felt like off to the side, and it kind of keyed into, because you kept wondering, okay, well, who's Murdoch's mate? Because his brothers could hear his heart and they kept bringing that up. And so it was always this mystery on the sidelines of like, well, who is his mate? Because he has been blooded. And so I liked seeing like basically what was going on that whole time behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's what I liked as well. And now we've had all of the Roth brothers, right? So
yes. And then so I don't know if you want to bring up anything else. Obviously, I'm not really diving into this one as much because it was pretty quick and I didn't really do any notes on this one. But I don't know if any last thoughts you have on this one.
I'm just having a look at my notes as well.
Yeah. So the next two books that we're going to be reading it's for this current month. We're doing this live show a little behind, but is Pleasures of a Dark Prince and then Demon from the Dark. So I think Pleasures from a Dark Prince is going to go back to the Lycae, right? I think it is. Yeah. And it just went away. Hold on. Oh, yeah. It's Gareth McCreeve, Prince of the Lycae. And then Lucia the Huntress. So, and I think that was kind of teased at with his brother kind of like might have found his mate or something, and like that the hunger like no other. I think that kind of happened in that book, and so I was kind of wondering what was going on with that. So I think this will kind of pick up that. And then we have Demon from the Dark. What did I put for this?
That's what I'm looking at now. So that's Malcolm Slain and Caro Gray.
Oh yeah, it says a demon outcast poison with vampire's blood and a vulnerable young witch he vows to protect. So that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A demon outcast poison with vampire's blood. I have no idea what that is. So that'll be, I'm sure the world will just keep building on itself in this series. So I haven't even started those yet because of the readathons I'm in. So I'll probably be doing those at the very end of the month.
Me too,
So I'm not sure when the live show will be, but hopefully you can join me again. We'll see how schedules are. But I kind of just do it randomly. I haven't like set dates for these because it's just kind of as I'm going, trying to figure out scheduling and everything. But I really appreciate you joining me. I know it's late in the UK right now. It's hot here in California. Like it got really hot this weekend. So I'm heating up.
Have you got aircon?
Yes. Luckily I got air conditioning, and because yesterday I think it got up to like 95, but I was like didn't really have it on when I was at work all day. So I came home, my house was just like so yeah, it's a lot hot. It's a lot hotter. It's come on later than it usually does for California though. So that's kind of nice because the air conditioning bill is not nice for how hot it gets.
Well, we don't really have air conditioning here. But we only get but we only usually get 1 or 2 really, really hot weeks. Yeah. 1 or 2 weeks where it's sweltering and everyone's like, we need aircon, and then the closer it gets cold again and everyone forgets about it till the following year. So we have it. What I do is put ice packs in the freezer and have like a alternate from a hot water bottle. It's a cold water bottle.
Oh God, like, cause I can't handle the heat. Like I'm okay when it gets really cold because I can bundle up and stuff, but I can't handle the heat. So when it starts to get hot, and like my house is like really old, so it's like this really old model home and it doesn't have like any insulation. So like it's super hot in here. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me, Helen. I really appreciate you joining me for this live show. So I'm not sitting here by myself. Who knows how this would have gone. But I hope you can join me next time too.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure it out.
All right, guys, we're gonna end it here because you know it's late over there. I don't want to keep Helen too long. Thank you so much for watching. If you're coming back to watch it later, just leave me a comment. I love hearing you guys talk about Immortals After Dark, and I appreciate any of you that are like sticking with this because I know it's a kind of big commitment to do the whole series. But anyways, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys on the next live.
Thanks, bye.